Hey guys, this is Oriana and welcome to my channel. This is my first video ever, so that's pretty exciting. In this video, I will be showing you how to recreate this look. If you're new to makeup or a beginner, that's okay. Stick around and keep watching. Okay, first things first, we've got to get our brows done. I'm using the NYX Micro Brow Pencil in the color Espresso just to fill in my brows because I already have pretty thick ones. But you just want to do like small strokes, and then you always want to use your spoolie to just kind of blend it all together and blend it out. You can use any technique that you like. This is just the technique that I personally use. Okay, so the next step you want to do is to carve out your eyebrows. I use my Tarte Shape Tape Concealer in the color Fair Neutral. It's a couple shades lighter than my skin tone. I just use a eyeshadow brush and I just put that all underneath my brows and blend it out. And I also do the top of my brows just to give them that really defined look. So next you want to do foundation. I'm using Estee Lauder Double Wear Foundation in the shade Desert Beige. This is not my shade. I just bought this, so it is going to look a bit light on my skin tone. I'm going to have to mix shades because I have another shade that's a little bit too dark. But yeah, so you just want to put the foundation all over your face and then just blend it out with a sponge. I call it a beauty blender, even though I know it's technically not a real beauty blender. And make sure you blend down into your neck. Like, don't not blend in your neck. You need to do that. So now we're moving on to highlighting. I am using my Shape Tape, the same concealer I use to carve out my brows. It's Shape Tape by Tarte in the color Fair Neutral. I only highlight under my eyes. A lot of people highlight on their forehead and their nose and their chin. I personally don't do that. You can if you want to. That is your preference. I just personally don't. So this is all the highlighting that you will see out of me. I just use my sponge, my same sponge on the clean side of the sponge, and I just blend it all in as best as I can. If you're looking to tone it down, you can use the foundation side of your sponge just to tone it down a little if it's too light for you. Whatever your preference is. Now I'm going to prime my eyes. I am using the same Shape Tape again. I just apply that all over my eyes just like a regular primer, just to get my eyes prepped for my eyeshadow. So now I'm going to be setting my under eye with just some drugstore translucent powder. I'm just using a dry beauty blender. Now onto my contour. I will be using the Anastasia Beverly Hills Contour Kit in the shade Light to Medium, and I'll be using a Real Techniques setting brush to do my contour. This isn't the ideal brush to contour your face with, but this is what I like the best, so this is what I use. And then I just use a kabuki. It's just an e.l.f. kabuki brush. I really like it. It's really soft. I use that to just blend out my contour so it's not so harsh, because I don't really like a very harsh contour, but that's just my preference. However you feel like you want to contour your face, you should just do it that way. This is just me. I'm not a professional. I'm a self-taught. Just make sure that you contour, your temples and your forehead, and definitely like your underneath your chin and like your chin, so you get the more of a defined look. Especially if you have a double chin like me, you definitely want to get that. So now you want to just contour your nose or snatch your nose. You want to make it so it's snatched, So I just take an eyeshadow brush and I just literally go along the sides of my nose all the way up, the shape of my nose, just to make it a little bit more defined and not so pale. Moving on to blush, I am going to be using an Eco Tools. I believe this is just a powder brush. I'm notorious for not using brushes for what they're supposed to be for, but that's just me. If anyone else is like that, you probably understand. But I'm using the NYX Baked Blush in Illuminator in the shade Journey. Now I'm just applying my highlight. I apply my highlight with my fingers. I don't got a fancy fan brush or anything like that. I prefer not to. My highlight is Golden Soleil Baked Bronzer. I believe I got it off Ulta online one year for Christmas. So for my eyeshadow, I'll be using the Tartelette palette by Tarte. I'll be using this palette for the whole video pretty much. I used one other shade in another palette, but just for like this whole thing, we'll be using this palette. So I'm using my MAC 224 brush and I'm blending the shade Force of Nature as my transition shade in my eye. You just want to make sure that you blend it really well. I really love this shade. It's a perfect transition shade for me. So now I am taking my MAC 217 brush and taking the shade Power Player in the same Tartelette palette and really getting into that crease and defining that crease and really making sure that I blend it out really well so it's nice and smooth. Now I'm just going to be applying the same color Power Player with a little bit of Fashionista, which is in the same Tartelette palette, to my outer corner. Fashionista is a black matte color. You only want to add a little bit and just see how much you really need. I add a very small amount because one too many times I've added too much dark and like you can't go back. If you add a little bit and it's not enough, you can add a little bit more and just build it up. That's just a word of advice when it comes to eyeshadow, because once you mess it up, you have to take it all off, and that sucks pretty bad. So I'm just doing the same thing that I did to the other eye because I forgot to do it on this eye. I'm just doing that now and getting this eye all blended and going to do the same exact steps that I did in the other one on this one. So you want to make sure that you're really blending your eyeshadows out really well so that way it looks really nice. You don't want something to be very patchy. I go back in with my 224 brush with the same transition shade and just blend everything together. So for the shade on my lid, I'm going to be using my Naked 3 palette by Urban Decay, and the shade is called Strange. It's just a very nice, very light color. I use this a lot just on my lid. So I'm just going to pat this onto my lid so I can get some really good pigment. And then once I have packed it on really well, I'm going to blend out my other eyeshadows again and just make sure I'm blending everything very well. So for this look, I'm going to be lining my waterline with the NYX Wonder Pencil in the shade Medium. I use a light color because I feel that it makes my eyes look a little bigger. Moving on to my lower lash line, I'm going to be using the same Tartelette palette. I'm just using, I honestly don't even know what kind of brush this is. It's just some cheapo brush that I have. And I'm using the shade Wanderer from the Tartelette palette just to apply that on my lower lash line, just to give a little something down there. Nothing too crazy. Time for eyeliner. I absolutely dread putting eyeliner on. I always mess up my liner. I consider myself pretty decent at doing makeup, but eyeliner is like my worst enemy. I'm using my NYC liquid liner, and in the middle of doing this video, my liner is like running out, so it was smudging so horribly. So for the next step, I'm going to be curling my lashes. I curl my lashes so they're curled, obviously, so they're not like super separated from the falsies that I wear. And then I'm just going to be using my mascara. It's the CK1 mascara, just to apply that to my lashes. And then the falsies that I use are the Eyelure Luxe Opulent lashes. They are pretty good for drugstore. I mean, look at that difference. These are my go-to because I don't really have expensive lashes like that. so this is the final look. I did apply my lipstick off camera because my camera wound up dying, but this is it. I will list it in the description. Thank you guys for watching if you've stuck around for this long. If you like these videos, please like and subscribe to my channel.